peace was in your pocket right now, would you stop searching for it? We spend so much of our lives chasing money, love, approval, security, only to realize we've been running in circles. In Buddhism, there's a quiet but powerful truth. Peace isn't out there somewhere. It's not hiding in a perfect future or a problem-free life. It's already here in you. The problem is, we've covered it up with noise. The Buddha once said, "The mind is everything. What you think, you become." But here's the thing. Not everything you think is the truth. Your mind can be like a restless monkey, jumping from one fear to another, telling stories that have nothing to do with reality. And when life feels uncertain, those stories get louder. What if I fail? What if I lose everything? It's like carrying a storm in your head while the sky outside is calm. Buddhist wisdom teaches us a different way. Instead of fighting every thought, you can learn to watch it pass, like clouds drifting across the sky. You are not the cloud. You are the sky. The moment you stop identifying with every fear, every what if, you begin to taste freedom. And freedom doesn't come from controlling everything. You can't stop the storms of life, but you can choose how you stand in the rain. That choice, that small shift from reaction to awareness, is where your real strength lives. So today, try this. Pause. Take one slow, mindful breath. Notice that in this exact moment, you are okay. You are breathing. You are alive. That's peace already in your pocket. And maybe, just maybe, you'll stop searching for what's been with you all along. If peace has always been within you, then the first step to finding it again is to stop gripping so tightly at what you cannot hold. Part 1. You can't control everything, but you can control your response. Most of the time, it's not the storm itself that exhausts us, it's the way we fight against it. We want the weather to be perfect, our plans to unfold without a hitch, and the people in our lives to act exactly as we hope. But life rarely follows the map we've drawn in our minds. The skies still turn gray, plans still fall apart, and people, even those we care about deeply, sometimes say or do things that hurt us. Buddhism teaches that much of our suffering comes from trying to control what is, by its nature, uncontrollable. It's like trying to hold water in a clenched fist. The tighter we squeeze, the faster it slips through our fingers. The truth is, there's only one realm you have complete authority over: yourself, your breath, your attitude, your energy, your actions, the thoughts you choose to feed, and the ones you choose to let pass. Everything else belongs to the ebb and flow of life. You can't command the wind, but you can learn to adjust your sails. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn how to stand steady or even ride them. This is the heart of what Buddhism calls equanimity, a balanced mind that remains steady even when the ground beneath you feels like it's shifting. Equanimity doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you give up on making plans or stop protecting yourself. It means you shift your focus from trying to control the outside world to mastering your inner world. Think about this. When someone speaks to you with anger, your first impulse might be to defend yourself or strike back. But in that brief moment before you respond, you have a choice. You can take a slow, deliberate breath, notice the heat rising in your body, and decide whether their words deserve a piece of your peace. Sometimes the most powerful action you can take is no action at all. Or when your plans collapse without warning. A job opportunity falls through, a long-awaited trip gets canceled. Instead of spiraling into frustration, you can choose to trust that a new path might be opening. Often, it's in these unexpected detours that we discover opportunities we never imagined. This shift from reacting to responding is not easy at first. The mind will always try to pull you into the chaos, convincing you that you must do something right now to fix it all. But with practice, you start to see that rushing to control everything often makes things worse, while choosing a steady, measured response keeps your energy intact. Imagine yourself as a tree in the wind. The branches may sway, but the roots remain deep in the soil. The storms will come and go, but you stay grounded. That's the gift of equanimity, a mind and heart that know how to bend without breaking. You can practice this in the smallest of ways. When traffic slows to a crawl, instead of gripping the steering wheel tighter, use the moment to breathe and notice the world outside your window. When someone cuts ahead of you in line, choose patience over confrontation. These small acts build the muscle of inner stability so that when larger storms arrive, you are not easily shaken. Over time, you'll begin to notice something remarkable. Peace is no longer something fragile that depends on everything going right. It becomes a strength within you, a quiet, steady force that holds you upright even when life tilts sideways. You may not control the storm, but you can choose how you walk through it. And sometimes that choice alone is what turns chaos into clarity. When you stop trying to control everything, you begin to notice something surprising. Most of the weight on your heart doesn't even come from the present moment. It comes from the shadows of an imagined future your mind keeps rehearsing over and over. The mind is a master storyteller, and when left unchecked, it writes scripts filled with disasters, failures, and heartbreaks that haven't even happened. This is where part two begins. Anchoring yourself in the present instead of chasing the shadows of tomorrow. Think about it. How many sleepless nights have been stolen by thoughts that started with the words, what if? What if I fail? What if I lose everything? What if I'm not strong enough to handle what's coming? Each what if is like a stone dropped into your mind's still water, sending ripples of anxiety across your entire being. And soon you're not living life. You're living inside a movie your mind is playing on loop. But here's the truth that Buddhist wisdom gently reveals. The future does not exist yet. It's not a place you can walk to. It's not a thing you can touch. The only moment that has ever truly existed is this one. The breath you're taking right now, the ground beneath your feet, the quiet awareness that you are alive in this second. Most of the things we fear never actually happen. If you look back on your life, you'll probably see it. The moments you were most afraid of turned out differently than you expected, or never came at all. The storms you feared were sometimes just passing clouds. Yet the mind in its habit keeps pulling you away from what is real into what is only imagined. This is why mindfulness isn't just a spiritual buzzword. It's a lifeline. Mindfulness is the art of coming home to the present over and over, no matter how many times your mind tries to wander into tomorrow. Here's how you can begin to anchor yourself. Pause right now and take a slow, deep breath. Feel the cool air entering your lungs. Notice the gentle rise and fall of your chest. Bring your attention to your senses. The texture of the chair beneath you, the distant hum of life outside your window, the warmth of your own skin. These simple actions pull you out of the storm of what if and into the calm of what is. You can also try mindful listening, truly hearing the world around you without judgment, or mindful walking, feeling each step connect with the earth, as if you're planting your awareness with every movement. When your mind begins to spin with predictions and fears, gently ask yourself, what is actually happening right now? You might find that in this very moment, you are safe, you are breathing, you are okay, and from that place of safety, your nervous system begins to relax, your thoughts slow down, and your heart feels a little lighter. Buddhism teaches that returning to the present isn't about denying the future. It's about building the strength to face whatever comes from a place of clarity, not panic. When you live in the now, you are better prepared for tomorrow because you're not wasting energy fighting imaginary battles. Think of a sailor navigating rough seas. If they focus only on a storm that might be forming miles away, they'll miss the wind and waves directly around them. But if they steer by what is present, adjusting the sails, feeling the current, watching the clouds overhead, they are far more likely to reach safety. In the same way, your life is a series of moments, each one asking for your attention. If you give yourself fully to this moment, the next one often takes care of itself. So the next time you feel pulled into the fog of 1,000 what-ifs, remember this. Peace isn't waiting for you in some far-off future where all problems are solved. Peace is here, in the breath you are taking right now, in the small details of this moment, patiently waiting for you to notice it. And when you choose to notice, you discover something powerful. The present has always been enough. When you learn to anchor yourself in the present, something powerful begins to happen. You start to notice the voice inside your head more clearly, and that's when you realize, not everything it says is true. This brings us to part 3, your thoughts are not always the truth. The human mind is like a restless monkey, leaping from one fear to another, swinging from branches made of old memories and imagined disasters. In Buddhist teachings, this is called the monkey mind, a mind constantly moving, unable to stay still, and quick to believe its own stories. When life gets hard, these stories become louder and more convincing. A single setback can trigger an entire chain of thoughts. This always happens to me. I'll never succeed. Something must be wrong with me. Before you know it, you're trapped inside a narrative that feels real, but is actually just a series of thoughts. Here's the truth. A thought is not a fact. Just because your mind produces an idea doesn't mean it's the ultimate reality. Thoughts are like clouds passing through the sky. Some are dark and heavy, others are light and harmless, but none of them define the sky itself. The sky, your true awareness, is vast, clear, and unchanged no matter what clouds drift by. Imagine sitting by a river, watching leaves float past. Each leaf represents a thought. Some carry words of fear, some carry fragments of memory, some carry random images. You can reach out and grab a leaf, turning it over in your hands, getting lost in its texture, or you can simply watch it drift downstream without needing to follow it. The practice is this. When a thought arises, notice it. Name it gently in your mind. That's just a thought. Then take a slow breath and let it move on. You don't have to push it away or wrestle with it. You simply refuse to build a house on it. One helpful technique from mindfulness meditation is called noting. You acknowledge what's happening without judgment. Thinking, remembering, planning, worrying. This creates space between you and the thought. In that space, you remember that you are the observer, not the thought itself. It's easy to believe every story your mind tells, especially when you're under stress. But here's a question worth asking. If you believed only the thoughts that were kind, wise, and grounded in reality, how different would your day feel? You see, your mind will always produce thoughts, just like your heart will always beat. That's not the problem. The problem begins when we identify with those thoughts, letting them dictate our mood, our actions, and even our sense of identity. Buddhist wisdom encourages us to develop mental equanimity, the ability to witness thoughts without being pulled into their drama. This doesn't mean ignoring them. It means giving them the space to pass, the same way you'd let a storm pass without trying to grab the clouds. Here's a simple practice you can try right now. Sit comfortably and close your eyes. Bring your attention to your breath for a few moments. When a thought arises, mentally say, "There's a thought." Return gently to your breath without judging yourself for being distracted. Do this often enough, and you'll start to see patterns. The same types of thoughts returning again and again. Instead of feeling trapped by them, you'll begin to smile at their familiarity, as if recognizing an old friend who still tells the same old stories. When you realize that thoughts are temporary visitors, not permanent truths, a weight lifts off your chest. You begin to move through life with more lightness, less fear. You stop fighting every thought, and instead, you let them pass like clouds over a blue sky. And maybe the most freeing part? You learn that you don't have to believe every single thing you think. The moment you understand that your thoughts are not always the truth, something else becomes clear. Not every thought, and certainly not every situation, is worth your reaction. This brings us to part 4. Save your strength for what truly matters. Every time you react impulsively, you spend a little of your mental energy. Imagine your inner peace as a cup of clear water. Every unnecessary reaction is like a drop of ink falling in. Small at first, but over time, it clouds the whole cup. And often the situations that drain us the most are not even life-changing events. They're the small, everyday triggers. A rude comment from a stranger, a driver cutting you off in traffic, an email written in a sharp tone. Buddhist wisdom reminds us, you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. Some battles are not worth fighting, not because you're weak, but because your energy is precious and must be invested wisely. Think of it this way. Every reaction is an investment. You invest time, attention, and emotional energy. The question is, will this investment bring you peace, growth, or clarity? Or will it simply drain you and leave you with regret? One of the most transformative practices is the pause. When something stirs you, irritation, anger, defensiveness, take a slow breath before doing anything. That single breath creates a space between stimulus and response. a space where your wisdom can step in before your impulses take over. In that pause, you can ask yourself, does this really matter in the bigger picture? Will I care about this a week from now? A year from now? Is my reaction aligned with the person I want to be? This doesn't mean you suppress your emotions or pretend to be unaffected. It means you allow your emotions to arise, acknowledge them, but choose how or if to express them. This choice is where your true power lies. The practice applies not only to external situations, but also to the inner critic. That voice in your head that constantly points out your flaws, doubts your abilities, and compares you to others. You can respond to that voice, but not with more criticism. Instead, you can meet it with curiosity. Interesting. My mind is telling me this. Is it actually true? Often you'll find it's just another unhelpful story you don't need to engage with. Zen teachers sometimes say, let the insults fall through you like arrows through smoke. The insult may exist for a moment, but without your grip, it loses its weight and passes on. This is not about ignoring injustice or avoiding necessary conversations. It's about conserving your strength for what truly matters. To make this practical, try a 3-step method. Pause. When triggered, take one deep breath. Observe. Notice the emotion in your body. Tightness in the chest, heat in the face, tension in the jaw. Label it without judgment. Anger, frustration, hurt. Choose. Decide if a response is needed, and if so, choose one that reflects your values, not just your mood. Over time, this practice transforms you from being a puppet pulled by every string of emotion into the calm, steady hand that guides the strings. You become less reactive, more intentional, and infinitely more at peace. Life will always present you with provocations, both from the outside world and from your own mind. But when you learn that not everything deserves your reaction, you free yourself from countless unnecessary battles. And in that freedom, your inner peace begins to feel unshakable. As we talked about in the last section, not everything in life deserves your energy or reaction. But here's the truth. Sometimes the challenges that do deserve your attention aren't there to block you. They're there to guide you. This brings us to the next lesson. Finding the hidden path in every problem. When life throws a problem in your path, the first instinct is often resistance. Why is this happening to me? This is ruining everything. We see the obstacle as an enemy, as a wall standing between us and the life we want. But what if that wall is actually a doorway in disguise? Buddhist wisdom teaches that every challenge carries within it the seed of transformation. Just like a seed must break through the darkness of the soil to reach the light, we too grow through the pressure of our difficulties. Without the resistance of the earth, the seed would never develop the strength it needs to stand tall. Likewise, without the weight of our problems, we may never uncover the resilience and clarity already within us. Imagine you're walking a forest trail. Suddenly, a fallen tree blocks your way. You can stand there in frustration, convinced your journey is over, or you can look more closely. Maybe there's a gap beneath the branches, or a new side trail you've never noticed before. The very thing that seemed to stop you becomes the reason you discover something new. This is what it means to reframe the problem as a path. Instead of asking, how do I get rid of this? Ask, what is this here to teach me? This small shift changes everything. When a relationship ends, it might be a painful ending, but it can also be a lesson in self-worth, in boundaries, or in compassion. When your career takes an unexpected turn, it could be life's way of redirecting you toward a path that better fits your talents and values. In Zen practice, there's a concept often described as turning poison into medicine. The poison is the suffering, the disappointment, the pain. The medicine is the insight and growth that comes when you face that poison with awareness instead of avoidance. You don't have to pretend the pain feels good. You simply have to stay with it long enough to see what it's revealing. Of course, reframing doesn't happen overnight. When you're deep in struggle, your mind naturally clings to what's comfortable and predictable. It resists change because change feels unsafe. This is why Buddhist teachings emphasize the impermanence of all things, anicca, to remind us that nothing, not even the deepest pain, lasts forever. Trusting in impermanence allows you to soften your grip. You don't need to know exactly how the story ends. You only need to take the next step with openness. Over time, you begin to see that the situations you once labeled as wrong turns were actually detours to something far more meaningful. Here's a practice you can try. The next time you face a problem, pause before reacting. Take 3 slow breaths. Ask yourself, if this isn't here to punish me, what might it be here to teach me? Write down any answers that come to mind, even if they seem small. Then commit to one small action that moves you forward with curiosity rather than fear. By doing this, you stop being a passive victim of your circumstances. You become an active participant in your own growth. You stop seeing the obstacle as the end of the road and start seeing it as part of the road. The truth is, every chapter of your life, especially the hard ones, can either shrink you or shape you. The choice is yours. If you're willing to meet your challenges with a beginner's mind, to stay open to what they have to offer, you'll find that life's most difficult moments often carry the greatest treasures. And when that happens, you'll realize that the problem was never just a problem. It was your teacher all along. After exploring how finding the hidden path in every problem can transform the way we see obstacles, there's one more truth we can't ignore. The path itself is often built from the very stones of our hardest days, which brings us to our next lesson. Even your worst days are building you. It's easy to believe that progress only comes from the moments when life is going well, when plans unfold smoothly, when joy is effortless. But in reality, our deepest growth often comes from the days we would rather erase. The difficult mornings, the sleepless nights, the conversations that left our hearts aching. These are not wasted days. They are the raw material from which strength, compassion, and wisdom are formed. Think of a seed buried deep in the soil. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening. In fact, it's surrounded by darkness, crushed under the weight of the earth. But that weight is exactly what forces the seed to grow roots strong enough to break through to the light. In the same way, the pressure of our most challenging experiences gives us the resilience to rise. There's an old Zen teaching, no mud, no lotus. The lotus flower, known for its beauty and purity, can only grow from thick, dark, murky mud. It doesn't avoid the mud, it transforms it. This is the art of turning poison into medicine. Pain, loss, and disappointment become the ingredients for understanding and compassion if we allow them to. But transformation doesn't happen automatically. It begins when you stop fighting the existence of the mud and start asking, how can I grow from this? Maybe your worst day taught you patience you didn't know you had. Maybe it humbled you, making you softer and more understanding toward others. Maybe it forced you to slow down, to appreciate the small, quiet moments you used to overlook. In those moments, the Buddhist virtue of shanti, patience and forbearance, becomes your guide. Patience isn't passive, it's the ability to remain steady in the face of discomfort, trusting that time and effort will bear fruit. Alongside patience comes humility, the awareness that you are always learning, and gratitude, the realization that even pain has given you something of value. Consider this. The people you admire most, those who carry a calm strength and a quiet kindness, are often the ones who have been through storms. Their compassion isn't theoretical. It's born from having suffered themselves, from knowing what it means to be in the dark and still find the courage to reach for the light. So when you're in the middle of a bad day, when everything feels like it's collapsing, remember this. Life is not breaking you, it's shaping you. The day you think you'll never recover from may one day be the very reason you can help someone else through their own darkness. A simple practice for this. At the end of a hard day, write down just one thing that this day has taught you or strengthened in you. It could be as small as, I learned I can handle more discomfort than I thought, or as profound as, I discovered I am not alone. Over time, this list becomes proof that your worst days were also your builders. The truth is, the measure of a life well lived is not how few hard days you've had, but how deeply you've allowed them to build you. When you can see your hardships not as scars, but as the architecture of your soul, you'll carry them not with bitterness, but with quiet pride. After every difficult day, what remains in us is not just the scar, but a quiet faith that we can still take the next step. And it's from that very place that we arrive at our next lesson. Faith, the antidote to fear. Challenges shape resilience, compassion, and wisdom. But faith is what keeps us walking when the road ahead disappears into the fog. In Buddhism, saddha is not blind belief, but a grounded confidence built from lived experience. Fear grows when the mind clings to predicting the future, trying to control what is beyond reach. Faith interrupts this loop. It whispers, you don't have to know the ending to take the next step. You can nurture faith by remembering the storms you've already survived. Think of those moments when help arrived unexpectedly, when your own strength surprised you, or when life gently guided you to a better path than the one you had planned. Each memory plants a seed of trust. If I made it through before, I can do it again. Understanding impermanence also feeds faith. No season, no storm, no sharp edge of fear lasts forever. Night always turns to dawn. Knowing this doesn't make you passive. It gives you patience, the courage to stay steady, and the clarity to act with intention. Community can magnify this trust. The ancient Sangha, Buddhist communities, were spaces where people reminded each other they were not walking alone. Today, whether it's a meditation group, a trusted friend, or a teacher's words, others' journeys can remind you. If they cross their storms, so can you. But faith must walk beside action. It is not sitting still, waiting for change. It's taking one mindful breath, one deliberate step, even with uncertainty as your shadow. Every choice to be present instead of panicked is a brick in the bridge you're building over fear. When fear visits, as it will, greet it not as an enemy, but as a messenger. Ask, what are you here to teach me? Perhaps it's pointing to an attachment you've clung to, a truth you've ignored, or a dream you've neglected. Meeting fear with curiosity transforms it from a wall into a doorway. In the end, faith is a quiet flame, small, steady, unshaken by the winds. It doesn't remove the challenges, but it lights your way through them, one breath and one step at a time. As we saw in the previous part, faith is the quiet force that keeps us moving forward, even when the road ahead is uncertain. Yet faith alone isn't enough to preserve inner peace for the long journey. And that's where our final lesson comes in. Living slowly to live happier. It's about creating a rhythm of life that protects your mind and heart, giving them room to breathe, recover, and truly thrive. In a world that moves at a relentless pace, it's easy to get swept up in deadlines, notifications, and the constant pull of what's next. But slowing down isn't about doing less. It's about doing things with presence. When you allow yourself to walk slower, sip your tea without distraction, or simply watch the sunlight shift across your room, you start reclaiming the moments that modern life often steals. Living slowly is also about listening inward. We often move so quickly that we lose touch with our own needs, emotions, and limits. Setting aside even a few minutes each day to check in with yourself, asking, how do I feel right now? Or what do I truly need? Can transform your sense of balance. In Buddhist mindfulness, this is the act of returning home to yourself, no matter what chaos swirls outside. Then there's the power of cleansing your mental environment. Just like we choose what food we eat, we can choose the diet of our mind. This means being intentional about the spaces we inhabit, the people we spend time with, and the media we consume. Reducing exposure to noise, negativity, and drama isn't avoidance. It's self-respect. It's making room for clarity, inspiration, and peace to enter. And perhaps the most beautiful part of living slowly is the small rituals that root you in peace. It could be brewing a cup of tea each morning and savoring the first sip, lighting a candle while you journal your thoughts, or practicing a short meditation before bed. These aren't grand acts, but like drops of water filling a jar, they accumulate into something powerful. A reservoir of calm you can draw from whenever life feels overwhelming. Remember, slowing down doesn't mean falling behind. In fact, it's the opposite. By moving with intention rather than urgency, you preserve your energy for what truly matters, you make better decisions, and you connect more deeply with yourself, with others, and with the present moment. So as we close this journey through all the lessons, let this final one be your anchor. The storms of life may come, the pace of the world may quicken, but you can always choose to step out of the current, breathe deeply, and move at the speed of peace. That is the essence of living slowly to live happier. As we reach the end of this journey through 8 timeless lessons, one truth becomes clear. Peace is not something you stumble upon. It is something you cultivate moment by moment. We've seen that thoughts are not the ultimate truth, that the present moment is the only real ground we stand on, and that while we cannot control everything, we can always choose our response. We've learned that suffering can be the soil where strength grows, that not every disturbance deserves our reaction, and that within every challenge lies a lesson. We've discovered that faith dissolves fear, and that slowing down allows happiness to catch up to us. Each of these lessons is a thread, and when woven together, they create a tapestry strong enough to withstand any storm. Imagine your life as a garden. Your thoughts are the seeds, your attention is the water, and your daily habits are the sunlight. What you choose to plant and nurture will eventually shape the entire landscape of your inner world. Buddhist wisdom reminds us that the storms will never stop coming, but with equanimity, awareness, and compassion, we can stand like a bamboo grove, bending with the wind, but never breaking. The point is not to avoid life's challenges, but to meet them with clarity and courage, knowing they too will pass. So the invitation is this: begin where you are. You don't have to master all 8 lessons at once. Choose one and let it take root in your life. Let it reshape the way you think, speak, and act, until peace is no longer something you chase, but something you carry with you. If this journey has stirred something in you, let it be a reminder that the power to change your inner world has always been in your hands. You are not powerless. You are not at the mercy of chaos. You are the gardener, the builder, the quiet flame in the storm. Your turn. Which of these 8 lessons speaks to you the most today? Share it in the comments. And let's make this a space where wisdom and encouragement ripple outward. And if you want to keep walking this path together, subscribe so you don't miss the next video, where we'll go even deeper into transforming the mind and finding peace in places you never expected.